so much, everyone, for sticking with us. Just as promised, it is 10 minutes after 10 West African time, and we would now be starting this insider session, of which we are very glad to have you join us today. You're here because you probably want to understand better how we can build faster apps, safer apps, and smart applications. And so you are here, you have come to the right place. We'll be getting right into our events from code to cloud. Just before we get started, just to intimate us of a few notes that we've put down here. This presentation is being recorded, and by virtue of being an attendee, you're going to get the recording and the webinar collaterals after the event. We have also turned off our cameras and our microphones to ensure a seamless flow of decorum over the course of the session, but notwithstanding, you have access to the chat window, so kindly use the chats to ask any questions that you have and also to engage over the course of the event. We'll be sharing poll questions with you. These will pop up at some time as our speakers are talking to us. Please, when they do, would appreciate your indulgence. Respond to those questions when they pop up on your timeline, and also ask your questions in the chat. We would have a session where we can go back to your questions and provide answers as much as we can. All right, so let's take a run through our agenda. For the benefit of those who are new to our organization, Reliance Info Systems, we would have a brief introduction of who we are and what we do, and then we'll get into the meat of today, why DevSecOps matters now. We would also explore core principles and take a look at industry use cases and success stories, after which we would go back to respond to our questions. So please make sure you use the chat to ask anything that you want or also offer your contributions. They are all welcome. Okay, so for our speaker lineup, we have Shalom Oladokun, who is an AI Ops engineer with us at Reliance Info Systems. There is also Ayogbami Teogbade, who is a DevOps engineer at Reliance Info Systems as well. These are seasoned professionals, and they have come to share with us their insights gathered over years of experience. And myself, I am Nifemi Fashui. I'm a customer excellence strategist, and I have the privilege of being your host today. Okay, so let us talk about Reliance Info Systems and how do we drive digital transformation. We are a leading ICT organization. We have global presence across 5 continents: North America, Europe, Africa, Middle East, and Asia. Our goal really is to support businesses like yours across every area that you need technology. So anything that you have to do that has to do with digital transformation, business transformation, operational excellence, we, founded on the pillars of innovation, efficiency, and security, help you to achieve your goals. We have earned 6 solution designations, and we also have earned 12 advanced specializations. All this goes to show that we are more than capable of supporting your business. We have our vision to reinvent the world, and this also means that for you as the end user, you will be getting simplified processes and scaled operations that bring you closer to your business objectives. We also abide by a success outcome philosophy, and this is where it gets a little tricky because we do not see you as customers. You are a partner with us. You partner with us, and then we work together toward that goal that you bring to us, that unique goal. So it's only after we have achieved that success for you that we can say that we have achieved that success for ourselves. This is the success outcome philosophy that also drives our success pillars. These pillars mean that when you come to us, there are endless possibilities for you. You're looking at something and you want to see how you can achieve that particular goal. But through our success pillars that we'll be diving into very quickly, there are so many possibilities that exist for you, and you're literally spoiled for choice, such that any solution that you're looking for, we can provide. So the first pillar is AI and people transformation. We understand that AI has literally taken up a vast area of our mind share right now and everything that humans are talking about. So we see how AI can also help transform the way we work in our organizations. The solutions here help you to enhance productivity and employee experiences. Next, we have operations and insights that have to deal with you getting more insights from your organizational data. So here we can have solutions that help you drive business operations, controls, and also amplify your efficiency. The third pillar is cyber defense. We understand that securing your infrastructure is very important, especially with increased vulnerability around us. The more we expand, the more vulnerable we become. So our cyber defense services help you to leverage and protect your investments. And lastly, we have cloud services. maybe you're operating on premises, or maybe you have a hybrid establishment. Anyway, we have cloud services that can help you leverage the scalability and the flexibility that the cloud provides for you. We have the privilege of being partners with several OEMs, and this simply means that we have a plethora of organizations that we can turn to assist you in bringing your business objectives to life. And just if you are on the screen here, we've got Microsoft, we have SAP, Sophos, Cisco, and a host of others. And lastly, we also have had the privilege of collaborating and partnering with organizations, bringing their own business goals to life across different industries, from manufacturing to healthcare to agriculture to IT. You can name it, we have had presence there. And this goes to show that our 20 years of existence has just been building and building on it, so that at this moment, we can support you in your business transformation goals. That is it on an introduction to Reliance Info Systems. Now that we're here, we'd love to make a special announcement, but I'll be keeping this announcement till the end of the event. We'd love for you to stick around, learn from our speakers, ask your questions in the chat, get your responses, and also get to talk to us about your DevSecOps requirements so that we can support you on that journey. Now I'll be handing over to our first speaker for the day, who is Shalom. Shalom will be taking us through how we can build apps faster, safer, and smarter. Thank you for listening. Hello, Shalom.
Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Shalom Oladokun, an AI Ops engineer at Reliance Info System, and with me today is my colleague Ayobami Teobade, a DevOps engineer. We're both really excited to take you on this journey through DevSecOps from code to cloud, building apps faster, safer, and smarter. All right, before we jump in, I would like to ask a few questions. Currently, are your development or security teams working in silos? Perhaps your security scans still happen only after your application has gone live, or when it's too late and vulnerabilities start to appear. Well, today we are here to talk about a way to move more workloads to the cloud with confidence, where security is keeping pace with the speed of delivery. This means we have stronger protection, we have faster delivery, we have lower cost, and better collaboration across our teams. In the session today, we'll show you how DevSecOps provides a modern and practical way to bring security, development, and operations together, helping your organizations to innovate faster and to stay secure and stay ahead. My part of the webinar will focus on the why and how, why organizations are evolving from DevOps to DevSecOps, now Azure and GitHub make that transition seamless. Ayobami, my colleague, then will show you how this looks like in action, the tools, the real-world examples that turn DevSecOps from a buzzword into a business advantage. Before we begin, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat as we go along. We'll keep an eye on them to address them as soon as possible. You can also raise your virtual hands if you'd like to ask questions or share your thoughts. We'd like to keep the conversation as interactive as possible. All right, so let's start with a simple idea. Organizations today need to move fast and stay secure, whether you're in the financial services, in healthcare, in oil and gas, manufacturing, or telecommunication. The pressure to innovate securely is real. And the challenge here is that the traditional development model treats security as a checkpoint at the end of a process. But today, speed, compliance, and trust can coexist together. Our focus today is on how DevSecOps, supported by Azure DevOps and GitHub, help you build your applications seamlessly from code to cloud. Our journey today mirrors how an organization evolves from DevOps to DevSecOps. We'll be going through our agenda. We'll start with how DevOps accelerates delivery by uniting people, processes, and tools. Then we'll explore how security becomes part of that flow, not a barrier, but a continuous layer of assurance. Moving on, we'll then look at how we can adopt and move our security efforts early into the development lifecycle, which is shifting our security left. Then we'll look at how we can deliver our projects via secure pipelines to the cloud. Finally, we'll see how cloud native automation and monitoring complete that loop to enable performance, to enable compliance and resilience. All right, so let's get started. What is DevOps? DevOps at its core is about collaboration. It's about breaking down the walls between the development and the operations team so that they can deliver value continuously. It's about culture, automation, and shared accountability. So DevOps is the union of people, processes, and products to enable continuous delivery of value to your end users. So the faster you can build, test, and deploy, the quicker you can deliver your innovations to your customers. But as organizations have mastered speed, a new question arises. Are we also delivering securely? So that's where DevSecOps comes in. It's basically about extending the DevOps mindset to include security as everyone's responsibility. So rather than having security scans after the product is done, DevSecOps builds protection directly into every stage, into your coding, testing, your deployment, and your operations. So it's the process of integrating and automating preventive, detective, and responsive security controls into our pipelines. So I want you to think of it as shifting from a reactive form of security to an embedded form of security where it is proactive, it is automated, and it's continuous. So I'd like to get a quick sense of our current practices. And a quick poll has been dropped in the chat or some be dropped. The question is, how is security currently embedded in your CI/CD pipelines? So we'd like you to please take a moment to vote. So only take a few seconds. Your input would really help us to get a clear picture of where your team are on the DevSecOps journey. So please take your time to take a look at the polls and give your answers. All right. So let's move on. All right. Before we talk about the benefits of DevSecOps, DevSecOps starts with people. Traditionally, development and the operations and security teams, they've all operated in their own silos, each within the different priorities. They have different workflows, and sometimes there's limited visibility into each other's work. And the gap there is that it's what the organizations call a wall of confusion. I don't know if this sounds familiar. It's where you have delays, where you have finger pointing, and your risks starts to pile up. Here's the good news. DevSecOps tears down that wall. We are bringing all three teams together from the very start. They all have shared goals, they all have shared processes and shared accountability. When teams collaborate this way, decisions are quicker, issues are resolved earlier, and everyone has a stake, both in speed and in security. So your people become that engine that is driving both your speed and your safety. So let's shift from people to processes. The cycle plan, the development, delivery, and operations phase, they represent the core flow of modern software delivery. So rather than treating these as isolated steps, DevSecOps turns them into a continuous connected loop. Each stage is feeding into the next, and it's creating visibility, consistency, and giving early feedback throughout the entire life cycle. That means you have fewer surprises, you have fewer delays, and your outcomes are far more predictable. With this model, quality and compliance aren't just attached at the end, they are built right in from the very beginning. The result is a steady and reliable delivery where our teams can ship value frequently and confidently rather than waiting for large or risky releases. All right. So when we embrace DevSecOps as part of our development processes, the benefits are both immediate and measurable. Early integration doesn't just strengthen your security. It creates a ripple effect across cost, efficiency, and compliance. Here are some of the key outcomes that organizations see when adopting DevSecOps. We have early detection of vulnerabilities. By integrating security measures early in our development lifecycle, our potential issues can be identified and addressed before they become complex and costly to fix. Again, would have lower remediation costs where fixing our security issues during the development phase is significantly less expensive than addressing them after deployment. Another benefit would be improved security posture. Organizations benefit early from early threat detection and remediation. So this actually leads to stronger and more secure applications. Another benefit would be enhanced development efficiency. Would have by incorporating security early into our pipelines, our development processes, we're going to be reducing delays and increasing our overall productivity. Also, another benefit is you have regulatory compliance because when security measures are undertaken early in the development lifecycle, it ensures that they meet regulatory requirements right from the outset. Finally, another benefit would be better collaboration. The developers gain valuable security skills and awareness, which would foster better collaboration between our development, our operations, and our security teams. For highly regulated sectors like the finance or healthcare, these benefits also translate directly to reduced audit overhead. And we now have the ability to redirect more resources towards growth and innovation rather than firefighting. Now that we've looked at the benefits of DevSecOps, let's walk through what it looks like in practice. This slide illustrates how continuous security validation is woven into every stage of the pipeline. So DevSecOps transforms our pipeline into a proactive risk shield. So rather than having one-time checks at the end, like the traditional way, we would have continuous security validations that run automated and intelligent tests every critical stage from our code creation to get to production. So right from our IDEs where we're building and developing our softwares to our pre-commits where our developers are getting instant feedback on vulnerabilities as they code. You have the security plugins that help the developers stay in check and follow the security policies of the organizations. In your CI stage, every commit triggers static analysis. It triggers secret scanning. It triggers dependency checks that help you check your system to ensure that you are following the regulatory compliance checks. So even in our dev and test environment, we have automated scan that goes through our IACs, our infrastructure as code, our containers, and we have penetration tests. Also, we have ongoing scans that try to catch evolving threats even after deployment. So what do we get? We get a very self-strengthening feedback loop. Where each release is safer than the last, your delivery pipeline becomes a dual purpose engine. It's accelerating speed and at the same time adding your defense, all without slowing your team down. So from a leadership perspective, this means you have reduced breach risk, you have lower compliance cost, and you have faster time to market. All this is driven by automation, not manual intervention. So here's what the life cycle looks like in practice. In the planning phase, we're embedding security requirements alongside our business requirements. During the development, our developers are using secure configuration standards and automated scans. Even in the delivery phase, our CID pipelines they include checks for vulnerabilities and threats and misconfigurations. Finally, in the operations phase, we are monitoring our performance to detect anomalies. And so we are feeding these learnings back into the planning phase. So it becomes one continuous loop. It is secure by design, by default, and by delivery. So what does this all mean? It means we are delivering value, we're increasing efficiency, we're eliminating waste, we're streamlining the feedback loop and continuously improving to deliver faster and happier securely to our customers. So as we shift from why DevSecOps matters to how we actually bring this to life, these automation tools become the engine that make those benefits real. So Azure DevOps anchors your DevSecOps pipeline with enterprise-grade reliability. It provides a full suite of planning, building, delivering, and maintaining applications at scale. I would want you to think of Azure DevOps as a robust backbone where we're ensuring that every stage is governed, is traceable, and production ready. GitHub, on the other hand, brings the developer experience to the center. It turns your repository into automation ops where your workflows run instantly, where you can collaborate. And your CI/CD pipeline becomes a natural extension of how your team writes their code. So we have the ability to integrate frictionlessly with any tool in your stack. This is where collaboration and innovation does ignite. Together, these two tools form a very secure software factory. Azure DevOps provides the orchestrated compliant pipelines. GitHub injects speed, automation, and developer joy. From the very first code commit you have in GitHub to your production via Azure DevOps, every step is automated. So it is auditable and is governed by your security and compliance policies. This allows you to deliver your apps faster, safer, and smarter. Now let's talk about how we protect this. Next up is security and vulnerability management. But before we dive in, I'd like to take another quick poll. I would like you to take a moment to answer them. The question is, what's been the biggest blocker for early security adoption in your organization? So is it tooling? Is it pushback from the development teams? Is it lack of expertise? Or perhaps it might be budget and resource constraints? I would like you to drop your answers in the polls. So we'll give you a few seconds. So while you are voting as well, we'd like you to drop any questions that you have. Any questions you have on the tools, on the integration, on how this fits into your world, would like to hear from you. All right, great. Let's keep the momentum going then. One of the core principles of DevSecOps is shifting security left. Traditionally, security test comes at the end, right before our release. Now we want to push those tests earlier, directly into our development and integration phase. So this reduces the time it takes to identify and fix a vulnerability. It's like spotting a crack in the foundation while you're still laying your bricks, rather than that your building is complete. All right, so we have security must feel very natural to your developers. It must not be an added responsibility to them, or it will deter them from engaging in it. So we make this happen with three proven strategies for seamless security integrations. The first is shifting security left. So we push checks way upstream such that vulnerabilities caught while the code is still being written, not after the fact. Another strategy would be automated security testing, where every pipeline that you have runs entry scans. So you don't need manual review or delays. You have just instant feedback. Another strategy would be security as code. Our policies, our configurations, our rules live in version control system, just like our application does. So this means we have consistency, we have auditability, and we have zero drift. How do we bring all this? We bring all this into flow by, before committing our code, we are applying secure configuration standards, our ID security plugins, and threat modeling. So this ensures that security is always on, and bringing it into all that flow. So before we commit our code, we'll be applying secure coding standards. Like I said earlier, we have ID security plugins, pre-commit hooks, secure coding standards, and we also have peer review for our pull and pull requests. During the CI phase, we have automated scans, we have dependency management, we have credential checks to ensure that all the codes that are pushed into productions are not exposing our secrets. During the deployment stage, the CD pipelines, our infrastructure as code, we ensure infrastructure as code are scanned. We have security scanning here as well. We also have cloud configurations to ensure that where your code is being delivered into the cloud follows all the regulatory compliance. We also have security acceptance tests to ensure that all our environments are secure by default. In production, after our deployment is complete, we also ensure that we have continuous monitoring. We have post-incident learning. This ensures that, like I mentioned, security is always on. So DevSecOps is the methodology that integrates security practices into our DevOps process. So this ensures that security is a shared responsibility throughout the software lifecycle. This approach particularly aims to identify and mitigate any security risk early and continuously, rather than addressing them at the end of the development process. So security and vulnerability management in DevSecOps involves several key practices. The first would be continuous vulnerability scans. So we have regular scanning code repositories and our applications, our infrastructure to identify any vulnerabilities in software components, in any of our dependencies or our configurations. Next, we have vulnerability classifications, where we're categorizing and identifying any vulnerabilities that we've discovered based on their type, based on the source and the impact on our application or our infrastructure. The next would be the risk assessment and prioritization. So we'll assess the risk that we've discovered and we'll associate all the identified vulnerabilities. Then we'll prioritize them. And we'll prioritize our remediation efforts to ensure that we are triaging the situation correctly. Then we'll go into patch management and remediation. So here we are developing and deploying patches or other mitigation strategies or techniques to basically address identified vulnerabilities promptly. Next, we'll look at the verification and validation. We're confirming that our applied patches, our mitigations have effectively resolved any of the identified vulnerabilities. Uh, and lastly, we would perform continuous monitoring and improvement, where our security postures are constantly monitored, and so that we can make improvements to the vulnerability management process. So by integrating these practices into the DevSecOps framework, organizations can proactively ensure that their applications and infrastructure remain secure throughout the life cycle. So this diagram represents how most teams are used to building their software, and many still do to today. The process starts with project inception, we're moving from development to testing, and particularly ends with the security audit, typically just before we ship our products to production. So security in this model is treated as a final checkpoint, something you do once your product is ready. The problem with this approach is that vulnerabilities can be discovered at a very late stage, and they can be very expensive and time consuming to fix. So in this particular method, you have your developers. Developers have moved on. Deadlines are near, and suddenly your team is forced to choose between speed and safety. So this can create friction. It can slow down the delivery, and sometimes it allows issues to even slip into production. So the question becomes, how do we change this model such that security is not a last minute gate, but a built-in part of that process? So here's what the modern approach looks like, a DevSecOps lifecycle. It's where security is traveling with the code from the very beginning. With GitHub Advanced Security, we can embed protection directly into each step of the developer's journey. So we carry out security, we engage in security policies that define the standards upfront. So we ensure that every repository aligns with our organization's requirements. We'll have code scanning where we automatically detect vulnerabilities before our code gets merged. Then secret scanning, which will prevent our credentials or our tokens from ever being exposed in your repositories. Lastly, we would have dependency reviews where we ensure that every third-party component is verified and it is up to date before it enters into our releases. The result is a streamlined, secure pipeline where our developers and our security engineers, our operations team, they all share a single automated workflow. This is the bridge between DevOps and DevSecOps. It's from security as being a gate to security as being a guardian that walks beside you every step of the way. So in short, we're moving from security as an afterthought to security as being part of the flow right inside the developer's world. All right. So to show you how these capabilities actually work, from code scanning to secret scanning to dependency management, I'll hand over to my colleague Ayobami, who will take us deeper into the features that make this possible. Over to you, Ayobami.
Yeah, thank you very much, Shalom. Once again, my name is Ayobami Gwade, and I'll be taking us through the features we have in the GitHub Advanced Security. So let's get started. So essentially, these are set of features that are designed to bring security directly into the developer's workflow. This is not just like as an afterthought, but rather as a built-in part of how we write and ship code within the ecosystem. So it includes tools like the code scanning, we have the secret scanning, we have dependency reviews. These are not just passive checks. They actively help developers to catch vulnerabilities before they ever get to reach production. So think of this as having security experts embedded in every pull request. This shift empowers the team to move fast without having to compromise safety. Now, moving on, the first one is code scanning, which is one of the most powerful features we have in GitHub Advanced Security. It makes use of the code QL, which is a semantic code analysis engine, to automatically scan for vulnerabilities within the code base. So what's great about this is this scan happens in real time, right within the developer's workflow. So instead of having to wait for security review days later or hours later, developers get instant feedbacks. This does not only speed up the remediation process, but it also helps to build a culture of secure coding. So, so far, over 62 million alerts have been sent across GitHub in the last 1 year. That's indeed a great a massive impact in reducing risk across the ecosystem. You also agree with me like that secrets like the API keys, security tokens are often accidentally committed into repositories. So that's a huge security risk. So with GitHub push protection, this is a feature that helps prevent this by scanning secrets before code is pushed into the repository. So if a secret is detected, the push gets blocked and the developer is alerted accordingly. So if for any reason the developer or someone within the team decides to bypass this block, GitHub ensures that it logs this event, creates an alert, and sends notification to the administrators of the repository. So this is a proactive approach that ensures that sensitive information or data doesn't end up in the public or shared repository, thereby reducing the risk of breaches within our organization. Dependencies are also a common source of vulnerability. So with the GitHub advisory database, this helps us to stay ahead by listing known issues within the third-party packages and libraries that we use in building our software. So before we get to add a library to our project, we can check its security status, and we are also able to make informed decision about the safety of the library or package as the case may be. So this database is continuously updated, and it's mapped to what is called the dependency graph. So we can see exactly which packages are affected, and we are also able to take actions to remediate this very quickly. So it's like having a real-time vulnerability encyclopedia built into your development environment. The next is automated assistant for managing dependencies. This is called Depender Boots. It essentially monitors your project for outdated or vulnerable packages and also automatically creates a pull request to update these packages. So this means that we are not just reacting to threats, we are staying ahead of them. It also helps us to reduce the technical debt by keeping dependencies fresh and entirely secure. So with dependables within your ecosystem, security becomes a continuous process and not just a one-time fix. Now, let's take a step back and look at the broader security capabilities that GitHub offers. We've got code scanning for vulnerabilities. We have container scanning for Docker images. And for secret management, we have tools like the Azure Key Vault. All of these tools integrate seamlessly into your CI/CD pipelines, making security part of the delivery process. So with Azure Key Vault, we can dynamically put secrets into the GitHub action workflows without having to hard code them. So this is indeed a best practice for secure automation. So before we move on, I'd like to show a quick demo of each of these tools, from the code scanning to the dependables and the secret scanning. Please avail me a moment to share my screen quickly. Shalom, please, can you confirm when my screen is up, please?
All right. Yeah, your screen is up now.
Okay, thank you. So very quickly, I have a demo Java repository here, and this is a repository that contains an intentionally vulnerable code, just for you to see how code scanning works in practice and how the remediation is done with the GitHub Advanced Security. Just a quick note, as part of the requirements for you to have these features, it's available for public repositories, and for private repositories, it requires an enterprise license for you to get done. So for this, as part of the prerequisite that has been done, is that within this repository, I've enabled the GitHub Advanced Security and the code scanning features on this repo. So as you can see, we have a security alert that has been recorded here. Under the code scanning, you can see one of them. So with this, you're able to see the GitHub Advanced Security scans the repository for any vulnerable code within the code base. So here we have one that has been highlighted here with a severity level of high. Then clicking on this, we have the details of the alert and some information about what this is speaking to. As you can see, this is an SQL injection vulnerability that is speaking to string concatenation within the code base. So the beautiful thing about this is you have the appropriate context to all of these vulnerabilities that has been detected. So when you click on show more, you have a synopsis of the issue, you have recommendations, you have examples of how to remediate these particular vulnerabilities and all of that. Then it goes further to give you a code snippet of what is the right way to do this or the best practice according to the standard. Then furthermore, it also presents to you some reference materials where you can read about the vulnerabilities that has been detected and how to remediate them appropriately for appropriate risk and compliance control. Now, beyond that, you have top here, you have dismiss alert. This is where you can choose to dismiss this alert as being a false positive, or you can choose to say, oh, okay, this is a code that is not going to production. We are leaving this here just for testing purposes. And if peradventure there's a reason for you not to fix this, you can choose the appropriate response and you ensure to add a comment here. And yeah, with that, you're able to dismiss this alert. But recall in the course of the presentation that we did mention that regardless of the activity that you choose to do or how you choose to handle this vulnerabilities that has been reported, GitHub logs all of these events and also sends a notification to the appropriate resource persons that has been delegated to manage the account. So beyond dismissing the alerts, we also have the co-pilots that could generate a fix. Recall that there are recommendations for you to fix this if you choose to fix it manually, and you can also choose to generate a fix using the GitHub Copilot as an assistant. So now the Copilot is in the process of trying to generate a fix for this solution. Then after this is done, it presents to you the suggested fix for you to review appropriately. Here we are. As you can see, this is the original source code by the left, and we have the recommendations by the right. And from there, you have the opportunity to review appropriately and you commit to a new branch as the case may be. So one interesting thing about this is for every commit you make, it does not just accept it. You also have the opportunity to rescan this remediation or updated code base to confirm that it now conforms with the best practice and it is entirely safe. So that's pretty much an highlight of how the code scanning work. The next I'll move to the secret scanning. Now, what do we mean by secrets? They are, like we mentioned in the repository, this includes things like the API token, the access keys, and a host of other keys. So I have it before you, I have a list of things that are considered to be a secret. We have the npm rc file, the database dump file, the cloud credentials. We have the HTTP password file on the Linux machine. We have Git credentials and a host of others. So beyond all of this list that we have here, the GitHub Advanced Security also gives you an opportunity to add providers for you to able to recognize secrets beyond all of this. You can even go as much as writing a regular expression for the kind of thing that within your organization, as part of the risk and compliance policy, what you consider to be a secret or what you consider to be something that should not be pushed as part of into the version control system. So you can write regular expressions to cater for all of this. So I'm just going to show us, as you can see here, we have security alerts. Then under here, we have some of the things, the sensitive information that the scan has been able to detect with the different severity level and all of that. So with this, you are able to fix the remediation appropriately. And also, just like we mentioned in the code scanning, you have the opportunity to dismiss this as being a false positive alert or to confirm that these credentials were actually used for the purpose of testing, or you are deciding not to fix this for some specific reasons that is best known to you, depending on the organization policy. So this is clearly how the GitHub Advanced Security helps to protect you from accidentally committing secrets or tokens or secure information into the public repository. So the third of them is the Panda bot, which we mentioned to be an automated assistant that helps you to check for vulnerable libraries, packages that are outdated, and can introduce vulnerabilities into your ecosystem. Here we have this repository, we have the GitHub Advanced Security has run a scan on this, and from this we have 5 of them with different severity level. This is critical, this is high, moderate, and all of that. So clicking on each of these, you're able to see what the recommendation is. This is regarding a JavaScript library and all of that. So the beautiful thing about this is beyond just alerting you about a vulnerable package or library in your ecosystem, GitHub Advanced Security goes ahead to create the pull request for the recommended fix. So here we have 6 pull requests that has been created automatically to fix some of these outdated or vulnerable packages that we have within your ecosystem. And of course, it does not do this automatically without your approval. It also gives you an opportunity to review what the recommendations are, and it runs security check on it. Then from here, you're able to merge the pull request as appropriate, which automatically fixes those vulnerabilities. So as you can see for this case study, we're updating this, we are bumping up this particular library from 3.00 to 4.00 in JavaScript. So this is more like an highlight of how the GitHub Advanced Security handles all of these different ways by which vulnerabilities get introduced into our code base. So before we continue, I'd like us to kindly engage the poll. A poll will be dropped to assess. We just want to take a few seconds to know which of these tools you like to prioritize within your ecosystem. And of course, your response will help us to understand what's most relevant to you. So I'll be taking a few seconds for you to attend to poll while we continue with the Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Thank you. So I share my screen again. Shalom, please could you confirm if my slide is back up?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you. So yeah, going forward, the Microsoft Defender for Cloud acts like a security control tower. It gives us visibility across the cloud and on-prem environment. So, and also goes further to provide actionable recommendations and uses machine learning to detect threats. So it's more like a unified solution that fits perfectly into the DevSecOps workflow. So whether you are deploying your workloads to Azure or to AWS, or you have your infrastructures on premises, or you run a hybrid setup, the Microsoft Defender for Cloud helps you to maintain a strong security posture throughout your application lifecycle. So let's take a look at how the Defender for Cloud works in practice. So you can imagine you receive a high severity alert. The Defender for Cloud helps you to verify these alerts, assess the detailed information, and also follow a guided remediation step. So it's not just about detection, it's about enabling fast and effective responses, and you also have a built-in policy recommendation. So with this, you can continuously improve your security posture and reduce future risk within your ecosystem. So here we have 2 real-world scenarios. The first of them is an incident response scenario where Defender helps you to detect threats, diagnose the threats, the root cause of whatever threat has been detected, and also resolve them quickly. Then the second of them is a policy enhancement scenario where you can configure the security policies and you also apply Defender's recommendation to strengthen your defenses. So this workflow shows how the Microsoft Defender for Cloud supports both reactive and proactive security, which indeed is a key principle in DevSecOps. Now, moving on, identity, as we all know, is one of the most targeted attack surfaces that we have today. So we also have the defender for identity, which helps us to monitor the domain controller traffic. It helps us to detect compromised accounts, and we're also able to investigate insider threats. So it essentially connects to the Microsoft Intelligent Security Graph, giving us deep insights and faster threat detection. So this is especially critical in environments where user access and behavior needs to be tightly controlled. Once again, kindly be reminded to engage with the polls and drop any questions you have on the chat at any point in time. So the next poll will be dropped anytime from now. So moving on, we have key metrics for monitoring. So metrics are essentially for understanding how well our systems are performing and how secure they are. So we have performance metrics like the CPU utilization, the latency, which helps us to optimize our infrastructures. Then we also have security metrics like the vulnerability detection rates and the incident response time. All of this shows how effectively we are protecting our assets. So beyond this, we have operational metrics like the deployment frequency, the mean time to recovery, which helps us to gauge our DevSecOps maturity. So tracking all of these metrics helps the team to continuously improve and make data-driven decisions. Now, to track all of these metrics, we use tools like the Prometheus for collecting data. We have tools like the Grafana for data visualization. We have the SIEM systems for managing security events. All of these tools helps us to spot anomalies early enough and also help us to respond quickly. So setting up alerts for unusual behaviors like a spike in failed login attempts or unexpected resource usage or utilization within the ecosystem turns monitoring into a strategic advantage. So it's not just about visibility, it's about actionable intelligence. Now let's shift to real-world impact, how organizations across industries are using the DevSecOps to improve delivery and security. So this story shows how it's not just theory, it's how it's working in practice, from insurance to IT consulting to oil and gas, how companies are embedding security into their workflow and indeed seeing tangible benefits like faster releases, fewer vulnerabilities, and better customer trust. Just a reminder again, please do engage with the polls, and you are free to drop any questions you have on the chat while my colleagues will respond to them appropriately. So the first of them, we have Gjensidige, which is Norway's largest insurance company. This company over time struggled with delayed security issue detection and inconsistent practices caused by siloed environments and the security team. So these gaps increased the risk of vulnerabilities and slowed down the software delivery process. So by integrating GitHub Advanced Security, the GitHub Enterprise, and the Microsoft Azure, this company was able to establish a unified DevSecOps environment that seamlessly embeds security into every developer's workflow. So this transformation enabled faster delivery cycle, reduced security risk. It's able to strengthen customers' trust. And indeed, this journey highlights how DevSecOps not only enhances technology, but also drive better collaboration and business outcome. The next of them, we have the Infosys, which is a global IT consulting leader. The company sets out to strengthen the security and development practices of its clients by promoting the adoption of modern DevSecOps practices. So by recommending DevSecOps platform, along with the GitHub Enterprise as a core component of the ecosystem, Infosys is able to enable its clients to mature their processes and achieve a more secure, efficient development workflow. So as organization advances in their DevSecOps journey, the companies anticipate growth in the GitHub Enterprise adoption, demonstrating how DevSecOps can scale across the various industry and also adapt to the varying levels of organizational maturity. So what's the takeaway? DevSecOps is more than just a framework. It's a mindset. It's about breaking down silos, automating security, and fostering a culture of shared responsibility. Whether you are just starting out or you're already on the journey, the goal is the same. We want to be able to build fast, stay secure, and also empower your team with the right tools and practices such that security becomes a natural part of the ecosystem and not just an afterthought. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Nifemi.
Thank you so very much for that insightful session. We've had a wonderful time today talking about how we can make our apps faster, safer, and smarter. Shalom and Ayobami, I believe, have done an incredible job telling us about all the things that we can include. But all of this still means that we have a few questions in the chat. So I'm just going to go now to go through the questions, and then we can have our speakers talk to or speak to them a bit more. So one question that we got was, one of our attendees asked, can you share a few tools that one can explore for container vulnerability scanning for the benefits of other people in the session who might need to benefit from that response? Could you take that, Shalom?
All right. Am I audible?
Yes,
You're.
All right. So fiction is a very good one. And it's especially for those who make use of containerized solutions and use Kubernetes to orchestrate their containers. Just like my colleague Promise mentioned in the chat, if you are looking for open source solutions, one is Strivey. But what we make use of here in Reliance Info Systems would be the ACR. So primarily using Azure Container Registry, you have automated scans on your repository. So you can create a repository on Azure in your registry, and then you have automated scans that happen right there. You also have we have image scanning as well. We also have Microsoft Defender for container. So when you deploy your containers to the cloud on Azure, especially, you have Microsoft Defender for containers that can give you a general overview of the security profile of your containers. So that would like to have a personal communication with you to show you how this works in practice. So perhaps maybe we can have a quick demo session of POC to show you how these tools work. Are there any other questions? Or should we go to the poll?
Yeah, I would be just bringing your attention to the poll. So thank you very much for responding to that question. For the first poll, we had, how is security currently embedded in your CI/CD pipeline? And most of the responses rightly said that security checks run automatically during builds. So I believe that these organizations are already doing the right thing if they run security checks automatically during builds. But we had some responses that said that manual reviews are being done before deployment, and the option of we are still working on integrating security. So maybe you can just try to elucidate for the organizations who are having manual reviews done before deployment, what are the pros and cons of this method, and what would you recommend for them?
All right, so having manual reviews isn't inherently bad, especially if you have a very solid security in those reviews. But the problem there is that manual reviews do not scale. They can create bottlenecks. Sometimes they're dependent the expert is not around. It means that you can't push products to product. You can push your projects to production. And so the goal of DevSecOps is to automate this process, to make it repetitive stuff such that your security team can focus on more complex and high value threats. And that's the reason why it's more important. It's important really for us to run automatic scan during builds those high-value threats can be detected. You also don't need to start, you can start small. You can start by automating one security check and then gradually start to ensure that every other of those manual reviews or manual checks that you have, you start to automate them gradually. And this can bring massive improvements in the delivery time to market. So it's not too late to start to shift your security left to start automating things.
Thank you very much, Shalom. There was also the option of those who are still working on integrating security. So I know that this could be challenging, and there may be some maybe internal bottlenecks that they are experiencing with this. So all I just want to say is, if your organization is currently dealing with this, then you should probably book a session with us so that we can help you work on how you can integrate security more efficiently. So moving on to the next poll, we had, what's the biggest blocker for early security adoption in your organization? And the greater response said limited security expertise, followed by budget or resource constraints. So, Shalom, are there any nuggets that you can share for us how we can handle the budget or resource constraints and also the limited security expertise?
Right. Thank you, Unifemi. So let's start with the expertise piece. So most teams do not have a full-time security engineer sitting next to them at every time, and that's normal. And so yeah, I'm sure you don't really need a massive security team to start doing DevSecOps. What you need is to make security as part of your everyday workflow. So, and then we have tools that we've shown today, which can help even developers as they work, such that risks can be flagged. They can explain why it is insecure, like my colleague showed during the code scanning and security and secret scanning phase, the demo. So this can offer remediation and guidance. You have the GitHub Copilot there that can help you mitigate some of those discovered vulnerabilities. So basically, it's about just building in security, your security knowledge into the process, your current process. And so it basically helps you to reinforce those small um, those small checks, such that another solution would be to engage in lightweight learning moments by as developers, or as you don't have to be a security expert, like I mentioned earlier. So it's just about creating security champions in each team, such that every developer can be motivated to shift that culture. The goal is not to turn everyone into a security expert overnight. So it's about democratizing the security posture such that it becomes a shared responsibility. Maybe not particularly a specialist role. Now to the second blocker, which is the budget, and it's a big one. But the good news is that DevSecOps doesn't have to be very expensive. There are fantastic and free open source tools that we mentioned that can help you to perform dependency scannings and container scannings. For GitHub Advanced Security, you have, for your public repositories, you have free code scanning, you have free dependency checks, you have free secret scanning. Those are available to you. So it's about, when you talk to leadership, the business case is always straightforward. What's the cost of not doing security early? It's always way higher. If you imagine, if you have a security or cyber attack after your code has been pushed into production, and then or maybe you have a ransomware, the cost then is always higher than having to embed security early and to engage in DevSecOps. So to prevent a breach is far cheaper than fixing it after it gets to production. So the real takeaway for us is that you don't really need a huge budget or a specialized team of security specialists to start DevSecOps. You can start small. You can embed security where developers already work, such that they can take advantage of free tools or open software tools that can build their capacity gradually. That's how you make security achievable for everyone and scalable as well.
Thank you very much for that, Shalom. I would also like to add to what you said. So for those who are struggling with security expertise, we also have platforms within Reliance Info Systems that can provide those lightweight trainings that you mentioned. So we have bodies within Reliance Info Systems group that take up the skill acquisition aspect for IT professionals. So maybe if you're looking at that or it's something you're interested in, please indicate your interest in the chat so that we can follow up with you to get you started on that upskilling journey. And also for those who are talking about the lack of tooling or automation as a blocker that they experience, we can also provide services in that area, providing, giving you access to or helping you procure the licenses that you probably would need to help you with your tooling and automation. Moving on to the next poll, we had which tool would you prioritize if you had to start today? So we had the options of DependerBot, secret scanning, code scanning, and we had most of the options speaking to code scanning followed by DependerBot and secret scanning. So very briefly, Ayobami, could you just tell us which ones, the pros and cons for which ones? So maybe giving persons current environment, they can make the right choice as it suits their immediate needs. Ayobami.
Oh yes, thank you so much, Nifemi. And indeed, in reality, all of these tools are important within the ecosystem. So it depends on the pain points or one of the greatest challenges that the organization is having, but they are all equally important. Like we mentioned in the course of the presentation, if the pain point is the ability to catch vulnerabilities early enough in the development workflow, then the code scanning would be the topmost priority. But on the other hand, if you want to prevent leaked credentials and reduce exposure risk, then we'll go for secret scanning. And the third one, which is dependency review, like we mentioned in the course of the presentation, this is essentially to track or block vulnerable third-party packages before they reach production. So essentially, the organization can start with any of this depending on the pain point and can decide to just bring all of this together as a whole within the ecosystem, which in turn presents a fully integrated security pipeline, which is the global best practice. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that clarification, Ayobami. That was insightful. So I'd also like your insights on the last question. Where are your secrets currently stored? We had most of the options for in a secure vault like Azure Key Vault, followed by in environment variables and hard-coded in config files. So similar to what you did in our previous question, could you just help us know which ones are the best options per certain scenarios so that our audience can make the best choices?
Oh yes, thank you so much, Nifemi. And indeed, the best practice is to have your secret stored in the Azure Key Vault. And I can see majority of the respondents are already doing this, which is a good one. But for those secrets that are still being hard-coded in the config file or environment variables, we can actually have the code parameterized such that they're able to pick whatever environmental variables they need in a secure vault. So this is indeed a best practice to avoid any misconfiguration, scalability, and make our applications more robust and secure. Then ultimately, we are looking forward to you having a fully secure automated pipeline and shifting security to the left. So that's it for now.
All right, thank you so much. Really appreciate our speakers for doing due justice to the topic of today and for providing insights as much as possible. And also to you, our audience, for sticking with us thus far. If we're not here initially, I remember mentioning that there would be a special announcement for you. So right now we'll be making that announcement. You have gained a lot of insights from us today, how you can get started if you haven't started the Shift Left framework Shift, or how you can also get more value for your organization to expand your digital enterprise and also to scale your business. So all of those things are available for you beyond the limit of our conversation today, which is DevSecOps. If you're looking at cloud services, cyber defense, AI and people transformation solutions, and also operations and insights, we have a free digital advisory session that is available for you and would encourage you to take part in it. So you can scan the QR code that is on the screen. It would also be dropped in the chat, and you can also book a session with us. If you also have maybe specific questions that you'd like us to address as it applies to your environment, maybe we couldn't cover it here today, we'd love for you to indicate that interest in a session with us. And as a free session, we'll be diving into everything that you require in that session to give you as much value as we can afford you. All right, so thank you for attending today's session. We are really grateful for your attention. We'd also love for you to keep in touch with us across our social media platforms. All of those details will be shared in the chats as well. You can follow us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, across Instagram and X as well. So this will help you know when we are having events like this as it relates to your interest and your profession. And also you can share with other individuals that you are invested in their development as well. We have so many things that happen every month, every now and then, and these are things that you can benefit from. At any point, if you want to consult with us, please let us know. You can send us an email. All of those contacts will be there. Send us an email or book a session with us, and would love to hear from you. All right, so at this point, this is where we're going to call it a wrap on today's Insider session. We are very grateful to you for your attention, and now would love for you to have a lovely day ahead. Thank you, everyone.